Aerial warfare is a decisive element in any modern-day conflict.
一些国家在我们周边部署了数百架这样的隐身战机，这是在逼着我们服软。
From the prop planes of World War II to today's high-tech fighter jets flying in the skies over Ukraine or Iran, aerial forces continue to drive defense spending. And in the global contest between two of the world's great powers, the race is on to be the first to develop the next-generation fighter jet.
The enemy's new fifth-generation fighter has leveled the playing field.
世界拳王泰森打一个初中生，那不费吹灰之力。
The next iteration of fighter jets is a sixth-generation fighter, versions of which are currently under development in China, the US, Russia, as well as in the UK and Europe. In the US, the world's only global air power, the F-47 remains shrouded in mystery.
You see how beautiful that is, but that's just a very small part of it. Sure. Jet, there's never been anything even close to it, from speed to maneuverability to what it can have to payload.
But in China, the nation's own sixth-gen fighters have been seen flying high. Videos of not just one, but two of China's cutting-edge combat aircraft were spotted in the sky.
These aircraft are part of an overall whole-of-service approach to advancing PLA Air Force capabilities, and that is part of an overall competition in military air capabilities against the US and other nations in the region.
So can China pull ahead in the race to control the skies? China's People's Liberation Army Air Force has come a long way. For most of its history, China's military was first and foremost a ground-based force. The PLA Air Force, in its early days, inherited aircraft from the former Soviet Union and licensed Soviet designs. Rick Zhou is an analyst of China's military development. He spoke with us on the condition that he would not appear on camera.
After the Sino-Soviet split, the PLA and China as a whole did not quite have access to the Soviet technology. They were cut off. So for much of the mid to late Cold War, they were forced to first try to develop their own industry by reverse engineering Soviet technology and Soviet aircraft, and then in turn trying to advance their own industry.
In 4 decades, China went from designing and producing third-generation aircraft such as the J-8 to fourth and 4.5 generation fighters like the J-11, J-10, or J-16. Today, they're even fielding some of the most advanced jets currently in operation, like the fifth-generation J-20, a plane dubbed the Mighty Dragon. Now China is stepping up its game by working on these sixth-generation planes. Everything surrounding these prototypes is still the subject of rumors and speculation, right down to their very names. This larger aircraft, being developed by Chengdu Aircraft Corporation, is tentatively called the J-36. Meanwhile, this aircraft design from the Shenyang Aircraft Corporation has been named J-50 by PLA watchers.
The J-36 I personally view as a more ambitious next-generation air superiority combat aircraft system, in the sense that it not only should feature greater range and payload, but more importantly, it should feature much greater onboard power generation, as well as command and control capabilities and electronic warfare capabilities than the J-50.
The J-36 is a huge jet with a length estimated to be up to 22 meters and a wingspan of 20 meters. Early reports say it's a 3-engine jet, allowing the plane to cruise at supersonic speeds and reach a combat radius of up to 3,000 kilometers, according to some estimates. Its payload is also estimated to be double that of current fifth-generation fighter jets. But the sheer size of the plane and its lack of a tail also suggest it could be used as a stealthy command center for drones.
Whether it's your 4.5G aircraft, 5th-gen aircraft that exist today, new variant 5th-gen aircraft that are emerging, as well as quote-unquote 6th-gen aircraft, next-gen aircraft such as the J-36 or J-50, I expect they will all have a degree of drone command capability. However, I do believe that J-36, by virtue of being a much larger aircraft, much more onboard power generation and processing capabilities, I suspect J-36 is going to have an even greater focus on command and drone control than the J-50 will.
Drones like the FH-97 are the latest development in aerial combat. The drones can scout and strike, improving the survivability of both pilots and manned aircraft. On the other hand, the J-50's smaller size could mean it'll carry out a more traditional fighting role. However, the plane's unusual tailless design will make it harder to maneuver than current fifth-generation fighters. So, how would these fancy-looking planes fare in actual combat? A possible proving ground would be the skies over Taiwan. With China-US rivalry deepening, rhetoric about reunification of the self-ruled island with the mainland is a common theme in Chinese state media and official speeches.
台湾是中国的神圣领土，历史的车轮，谁都无法阻挡。
In the event of a conflict over Taiwan, China would aim to neutralize any U.S. intervention. This would require the development of Chinese military capabilities that could match or defeat U.S. aerial forces and ensure control of the first island chain.
The Chinese Air Force, giving part of the mission is to defend the country's sovereign rights and interests. Hence, the first island chain is also considered China's backyard in a way. So the first stage or primarily goal of the Air Force is to be able to gain air superiority over these areas.
Beijing, which views Taiwan as part of its territory to be reunited by force if necessary, conducts regular military drills around the island. Most countries, including the U.S., do not recognize Taiwan as an independent state, but the U.S. says it opposes any attempt to take the self-ruled island by force and is committed to sending weapons to Taiwan. The Taiwanese Air Force also flies fourth-generation jets, such as the locally produced FCK-1 and U.S.-made F-16s. Military analysts expect China would likely try to destroy Taiwan's aerial capabilities on the ground before the island has a chance to engage the PLA Air Force in combat. The U.S. has a strong military presence in the region, notably in Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines. Washington's Air Force and Navy also fly some of the most advanced aircraft and combat systems, such as the F-22 and F-35, and soon the world's first next-generation bomber, the B-21.
A strong Air Force would greatly increase China's ability to gain a control in this area militarily. Basically, it's already, the current plane fleet such as J-20, J-35, they may probably already be sufficient to give China a upper hand within this area compared to other countries like Japan. But a next generation fighter, they ensure this continued competition with competitors like the United States.
This is how a possible confrontation using China's sixth-generation fighter could go.
The J-36, given its large size, it could work as a long-range penetrating bomber striker as well as a fighter, so that it can strike those targets maybe even within the second island chain, on land or at sea, to create a safety corridor for the Chinese Navy and Air Force. About J-50, it potentially being used on the aircraft carrier, for example.
Today, any wartime plans are just that, plans and speculation. There is no evidence that either side is closer to conflict or that a military attack is imminent. There's also no information about how many sixth-generation aircraft the PLA Air Force will eventually procure. But one thing is certain. Future wars will feature a new class of fighter jets with capabilities previously unseen in combat.